Hello there. About a 20-minute drive from the city of Glasgow in Scotland, there is one of the most amazing examples of Neolithic art that's ever been uncovered anywhere. It bears a wealth of unique inscriptions across a wide stone plaque in the earth, a naturally occurring one. These inscriptions are similar to those seen in other places across Europe, known sometimes as cup and ring marks. And they are fascinating and they are beautiful, and this spot just outside Glasgow is thought to be the best example of them anywhere, or at least one of them. But unfortunately, you can't see it. In fact, no one can see it. I can't see it either, and that's a shame. I mean, other than in these pictures. And that's the thing, we've known about it for a very long time. There's references that hint at this ancient monument of art as far back as the 12th century CE. It's been the subject of mass publications and some strange paintwork and a whole bunch of other stuff. This place is amazing, and now it's nestled in between some housing developments and some power lines and all the other trappings of modern society. But unfortunately, it's just one of those things that you want but you can't have. You can't go see it. And I wish you could. I wish we could. It's been kind of stuck in my head now for a few days. It's called the Cochno Stone. But there's been other names attached to it too over the years. But we'll get into all that. We'll get into the history of this place, what we know of it, both ancient and modern. And that's what's kind of so interesting about this one, guys. It's kind of almost a story of two competing histories in a way. I don't know how else to put it, but it is. It's fascinating. And I know we were just in Scotland recently. Don't worry, we're going to be moving around some more soon. But like I said, this one's just been stuck in my brain. I had to share a little bit about it with you. It's very, very cool, and hints at a much larger historic artistic legacy. But I got myself distracted again. As I was saying, hello, welcome, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Lost Bits, the place where we talk about unusual and mysterious parts from our past together. As always, my name is Marie. I am your host. It's wonderful to have you here. And we are going to be looking, like I said, at one of the best examples of cup and ring marks. And I saw a couple different people mention these in the comments recently, and you guys kind of got it stuck in my head, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about some Neolithic art in Scotland. It's Neolithic artistic bits. Oh, we're going to sound so fancy in here now. Oh my god, you guys. So I think it would be helpful to start by looking at what Scotland was like literally at 3000 BCE, because that's when these inscriptions were probably made. And this would have actually been kind of a really milestone period in British history. During this period in Britain, only 1,000 years earlier, agriculture had come onto the scene, around 4000 BCE. This new technology of farming is believed to have been brought to the British Isles by boat by people whose background is still a little bit mysterious. This revolutionized the life on the British Isles. And from 4000 BCE all the way on to around 2000 BCE, we see the construction of some of the greatest monumental structures in British history. Windmill Hill, Silbury Hill, Woodhenge, and the famous Stonehenge would all be built during this period. And you'll notice that puts our 3000 BCE date of the carving of these spiral, cup, and circle marks right smack dab in the middle of this both economic and agricultural, but also in a way cultural revolution happening in this whole place. And let's talk more about the cup and ring marks that we see on the Cochno Stone, and also in other places, because like I said, these are found in many locations across the British Isles, but also as far away as places like Spain and Switzerland. In fact, there's a long list of a surprising amount of different countries that play host to cup and ring marks that look a lot like these ones. But I'm not trying to suggest this was all one cultural behemoth extending over all these territories, but it's just interesting to keep in mind. And frankly, we don't know what the cup and ring marks at the Cochno Stone, or at any of these places for sure, what exactly they mean. There's been numerous theories put forward, and to be honest, the markings might have different meanings for different people at different places, at these different points in history. But just focusing back on our Cochno Stone here, like I said, it's believed to have been carved around 5,000 years ago. And the name Cochno comes from the Gaelic term for little cups, which is how it's referred to in that 12th century reference I mentioned to you at the start. Theories have ranged about the cup and ring marks on our Cochno Stone, from it depicting celestial events or mythological legends, to perhaps even being a type of map for different places in the region that people might need to know about. And to be honest, the Cochno Stone was never really lost. Locals always knew about it for basically time immemorial. But it started to attract more public notice in 1885 when a Reverend James Harvey came and surveyed and wrote about the place and cleared off parts of it to look at it. And this is the part where, like I said earlier too, there seems to be like two histories here, because now the Cochno Stone has kind of its own modern history. And after Reverend Harvey wrote about it and the public started to become more aware of it, eventually it caught the eye of a very famous archaeologist for the time, a man named Ludovic Mann. He had a fascination in general with the Bronze Age, and he had excavated many other sites around Glasgow already, which, by the way, there's a lot of other sites of interest nearby our Cochno Stone. In the 1930s, he developed an intense interest in the site, and he certainly helped raise public awareness of the Cochno Stone for sure. But he also went a little too far, and he started painting in the symbols with different colored paints, and he painted on a grid system of his own design there too, and he started to sort of build his own complex mythology around what he thought the symbols on the stone meant. He ended up developing and working on all these kind of strange theories about defeating eclipses and other cosmological events, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having out there theories, but I wish he hadn't painted on the stone. No, don't do that, you know. And by the 1960s, the place had become kind of a popular tourist destination. And like, you can see some images here. Actually, I think these are from the 1930s during Mann's time. But still, like, people would walk all over the stone and visit the stone and would carve their names and initials and things in the stone. And I mean, during the time of Harvey and then Mann, they did learn a lot. Like you saw, they uncovered the stone completely. They eventually uncovered that the kind of domed, sloping, natural rock that all of this was carved on, the stone plaque itself, is roughly 8 meters by 13 meters. It's huge. And that's something I do want to stress too, that all these beautiful carvings are stretched out across a wide area. But by 1965, the stone had become so vandalized that it was decided to bury the stone for its own protection. This was a very controversial decision that many of the locals of Glasgow absolutely hated and still do to this day. And it must be said that the local community at the time doesn't seem to have really had a lot of say in the matter, which I think is important because there were lots of tourists coming to the site, and yet the authorities seem to mostly blame the vandalism on the locals. And that's hard to hear about because especially the local little community closest to the stone, a place known as Favely, is really devoted to the history of it and to keeping the story of the Cochno Stone alive. So the vandalism done there wasn't necessarily done by the locals. And in 2015 and 2016, a team of archaeologists came in and excavated the Cochno Stone. This was a huge deal for everyone locally and for the archaeologists, and they worked carefully, uncovering only parts at a time over the course of those 2 years, combining this fieldwork with modern technologies to create extensive and 3D imaging of all the symbols carved into the Cochno Stone. It would also allow them to just assess the stone's condition after being underneath all this dirt for so long. And I know these first images of the Cochno Stone don't look that impressive. It was pretty worn down by the time it went into the earth, as you can see. But when we add the 3D, yeah, look at this. It's amazing. I know I've been stingy with the photos until right now, guys, and okay, here, look. With the color removed, it's almost better sometimes. Like, look at the detail. Ugh, it's amazing. Okay, and there's those little feet. Okay, I know I pointed them out in text earlier. Look at the little feet. That's not vandalism. Those are weird ancient little feet. Now, as you can probably imagine, when they did all this, it wasn't an easy task. Just to uncover the Cochno Stone from all that dirt. Not only did the archaeologists have to work hard, but it took the support of the local council, the private landowner that this rock now is on, and Historic Environment Scotland. And also the archaeologists mentioned really touchingly later on that many locals came up to them during the course of their excavations to share their past memories about this site that they had growing up. There's many people still there that remember before it was covered up like this, and they have many, many fond memories of the Cochno Stone. Even the local fire brigade got in on the action and used their hoses and their water to help spray some of the dirt off the surface of the stone. And once the archaeologists had finished their excavations and their studies and those images and scans I told you about, it really meant a lot to them to still try to do right by this site and the community. And so after all the work was complete, and after talking it over with the locals, the decision was made to rebury the Cochno Stone again. And though I think it was still controversial for some, it was felt that this was the best way to protect it for the future. And though that doesn't mean that burying it up again was easy either. Archaeologist and senior lecturer at the University of Glasgow, Kenny Brophy, who worked extensively on the project, said in a statement, quote, "It is emotional when you have worked on a project such as this, touched it, walked on it, and closely examined it. to then rebury it. But for now, that is what we have to do to protect it from the elements. Perhaps in the future, this site could be turned into a major tourist attraction in Scotland with a visitor center. Who knows? End quote. And I have to say, I'm wondering that a little bit, actually. Why couldn't they protect it by putting a visitor center around it or something like that? Lots of other sites have things like that. Why did they have to go this hard? I don't know. I do have mixed feelings about this one at the end, and that's why it's kind of been in my head so much. On one hand, I totally get it, and I'm proud of them for making this tough decision to keep it safe this way. On the other, man, I wish they could find a better way to protect it than hiding it again. Would you like to be able to go see the Cochno Stone, or are you happier knowing it's under the earth? Let me know your thoughts. But I am going to stop there for today, guys, and thank you so much for being here for the story of the Cochno Stone. And just like always, if you find yourself particularly interested in our topic today, then please don't let my words be the last words you hear on Ancient Scotland. You'll find a full source list pinned to the top comment below, but please don't stop there. May I say your local library might have some awesome books on art history, or some other kind of history. Or it's just something about art. Just go to the library. It'll be so nice. You'll find a book on something cool. Just anything cool. They better have something on something artsy-fartsy that you can read and will both also make you feel fancy. Just do it. Just go. Go to the library. And when you get back from the library, let me know how you made out. And once you are back, if you enjoyed what you saw here today, then please consider checking out the rest of my channel, where you'll find lots more unusual and mysterious tales from our past. I upload new videos at least once a week, and I do longer deep dive videos once a month. And hopefully I'll see you again soon, but either way, thank you again so much for being here today. Be safe, be happy, go with all my love. Until next time, goodbye.